Hi, welcome to the 11:11 update with Krista Kaiser, aka the Vibe Curator, and Nicole Turco. What are you known as?
I was just thinking this the other day, and I was saying, I'm like, I think I just want to myself be my brand.
I think that's exactly how everybody pictures you. You're Nicole Turco. You're not like whatever you are. You're like the culmination of everything that you have your hands into.
Yeah, very multi-passionate. Like You're
Nicole a multi-hyphenate.
Turco. Yes.
Nicole Turco. It's all there.
It's all there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. Thank you for being my first ever guest and recording my first ever podcast with me.
So fun.
So grateful for you. So the whole idea of this show is to kind of talk to people about their spiritual journeys, how they got into, the work that they do, and just like let people know that everybody's journey is so uniquely different. And so if you're comfortable, we'll start asking some questions about your little spiritual journey there.
Okay, fun.
Okay. So what does spirituality mean to you?
Loaded question.
Yeah. I mean, starting with a banger.
Yeah. Gosh. I feel like it's such a umbrella term, but I think just like being yourself.
Yeah.
Really, like leaning into trusting is a big one for me. Realizing there's something greater than just you out there.
Absolutely.
Is a big one. You don't have to do it on your own.
No.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's such like you say, it's such a personal thing. It's an umbrella term that everybody has their own unique relationship with.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your kind of base knowledge, or what was your introduction to spirituality growing up?
Very open. Like I would say my mom, without me realizing, has for sure always kind of been spiritual in a setting. Like grew up Catholic, but didn't fully practice it.
Right.
But like Travel Voices was one of our favorite stores.
Love.
Yeah. So I feel like she was putting me into that world without even realizing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very open to anything.
Yeah. So religion was kind of the base of the family kind of spirituality.
Yeah, like our grandparents,
Right.
both sides were Catholic, but it was it wasn't a strict.
Yeah, it was your own relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
With God.
Like there's God, but there's also however you want to take it.
Totally.
Yeah, which I think was a really nice way of doing it. Like it wasn't a scared tactic. It was
it was an invitation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. And it like obviously sounds like they weren't trying to lead you on a specific path. Like it was like, try this. You're interested in this? Try it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
With everything, I think, kind of growing up, which is very special.
So obviously very supportive.
Oh, yeah.
Open, loving family.
Yeah.
Get it, girl.
Which is so nice.
And deserved. You deserve that.
Thank you.
How did your spiritual journey start? Did you have a spiritual awakening?
Ooh. I would say like it really began in 2020, but I've always been very open to it. Like I always loved psychics, mediums, like give me all of that stuff. What was her name? The medium on TLC.
Oh, Teresa Caputo?
Yes.
She's got a new show on Lifetime. Yeah. I'm obsessed with it. And I'm waiting for Tyler Henry to come back.
Yeah. So I was always kind of into it. But then 2020, obviously our world kind of got rocked and changed. And I got to really just go into myself, which was such a special time.
Yeah.
Like take the mask off, be who you are without like having to show yourself to everyone, which was really cool. So that's when I would say I started to figure out who I actually was and where my place is in this world. So yeah.
I love it. And so what kind of things did you do to begin like your spiritual journey?
A lot.
Yeah. You were the crystal queen.
Yeah. There was a lot of like I was doing daily meditations.
Guided or
guided, yeah. I still like my guided meditations.
Same girl.
Yeah. I can get into it anywhere. But there's nothing better for me than just a quick little guided meditation. And then that same year is when I learned human design. So that has been a big shift in my world.
Absolutely.
Being a projector is...
And for those who don't know, just not to like break down all of the human design, but what are the characteristics of a projector?
So a projector is here to guide and lead.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Like being seen.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily here to do, like, we're not your everyday person.
You're like a figurehead.
Yeah.
A spiritual figurehead.
Yes, which is, it's a huge transition, and it's a lot of trust.
I can only imagine. Like, I'm a generator. Yeah, I'm a generator.
Fun.
So there's
I
a
love
lot of
my generators.
Well, I'm sure.
I need my generators.
Of course.
Yeah.
But it's that, it's that ebb and flow of like, it doesn't matter what you are, to honor the times where you need to like do, and honor the times where you need to rest, rejuvenate, and recharge.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you learn about human design?
Through a girl that I went to high school with. So she was posting about it, and I did a reading.
Cool.
So she did like a level 1 reading on me, and it was like, it rocked my world. I was
scary
like,
accurate.
I am not living in my design. So if you don't know human design, like we're all raised to be generators, pretty much. Like, generators make up the majority of the world. So I faced so much burnout growing up. Like in my late teens, early 20s, I got shingles 3 times.
Jesus.
I had mono. I had a stomach ulcer. Like I was
Your
just
body
like,
was fighting
my
you.
body was being like, bitch, slow down.
Yeah.
Like, you need to rest.
Yeah.
And so when she did my first reading, I was like, wow, this makes a whole lot of sense. And then that's also, I think, why I genuinely thrived during that time in 2020, because I was just at home. I was meditating. I wasn't really doing much. Like I was out in nature. I was really fortunate for where I lived.
Yeah. Nobody was holding you to like a standard of you need to do X, Y, and Z anymore.
Yeah. So it was hard to go back to real life after that.
I can only imagine. Fuck.
So we're creating a life that's not that. Which is really cool.
And I mean, it's your authentic path.
Yeah.
And it, like, I don't know much about projectors, but what I'd assume is that like part of the learning curve is learning that you aren't like everybody else, and that you have your, your own ways and your own rhythms to honor. And yeah.
There's a huge shift happening. So I'm like, 2027 is the projector year. So we've been in a manifestors have been our like leaders of the world for hundreds and hundreds of years. And we're shifting into a projector style world, which will be, I think, really nice for everyone.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm doing everything in my power right now to really learn and be present with being a projector, and then I'm like, my time to shine is coming.
I totally forgot to ask at the top, what is your sun, moon, and rising?
I am a Capricorn, Aquarius, Gemini.
Capricorn sun, Aquarius moon, and Gemini rising. No shit, you're such an inquisitive person. And that Aquarius moon, I mean, it feeds your soul, it feeds your body. You have to be innovative. You have to be helping the collective and doing this. And I mean, obviously we all know the Capricorn is the CEO of the zodiac.
Yeah.
So interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. And projector, obviously.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm a 2/4 emotional projector.
I'm a 2/4.
Are you?
I am.
Fun.
That's an opportunist hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much a hermit, hence why this is in my home.
Right? It's such a cool, never-ending learning.
No.
Yeah, I would say I'm about 4. So you're supposed to, it's like a 7-year cycle kind of thing. And I'm 4 years into learning about it. There's just never ending.
No.
So much knowledge in
I have
it.
so many questions to ask you.
Yeah, so fun.
Okay, so what was the first reading you've ever received or session you ever received?
I was trying to think of this. So my first ever tarot was you. I know.
In 2020.
Yes.
We met in the summer of 2020,
Yeah.
which was huge for both of us.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I know. So that type of reading was you. And that was like in my, like, I was like, I feel like in the good time of my life. Like we were just in my living room hanging out.
It was so fun.
And then I had done, like, I've seen like psychics and mediums before that. My first one I probably saw was at like 20.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And do you like recall anything from that reading? What kind of a reading was it?
Okay, so it was in
I
town.
just had a reading
Did
with him
you?
like 2 weeks ago.
Aw.
I love him.
And it was like not, everyone talked him up, and all I can remember from it was him telling me that I was supposed to be a model. And I'm like, so I'm just supposed to not do anything? I'm like, am I going to be a hand model? Or what are we working with here? I think that's like all that I took from it.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But then I had a really incredible one with a lady in Hastings, you know, Dorothy Turk.
I've had one. Yeah, I love Dorothy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love when she closes her little
I
eye.
know.
It's the sweetest thing in the entire world.
I really want to go see her again, but I'm just waiting. I'm like,
She won't see you too soon.
Yeah, no, it's been a couple years.
Oh.
Yeah. But she really encouraged the spiritual path. Like she saw that the life that I was living wasn't gonna necessarily be for me. And at the time I was like, you're wrong. Like,
how old do you think you were around this time?
this would have been probably 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I know. And so she was just like, you just need to stick with your spiritual path. Keep doing it. Like that's where you're headed. That's where you're headed. And so it was just reassuring. Especially once I started taking those steps to get to where I am.
Well, and not having the backup plan in like that's the hardest thing is to surrender, to trust, unapologetically trust.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's a big thing.
This is fucking trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
absolutely. I think that's what it all comes down to, really.
100%. But I mean, again, that's so easy on the other side. Like, and it's so hard when you have the limiting beliefs and just, I mean, I was certainly raised in a home where I was told, get a job with a company, work with them for the whole rest of your life, get a RRSP, like get your retirement and get the fuck out. And both of my parents did that. And both of them lost their jobs right before retirement. The companies closed their doors, laid them off, and their whole retirement plan was fucked.
Yeah.
And like, it didn't suit me, but I couldn't imagine.
No.
And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I had to trust that was not for me. Like that I would find my own path.
Yeah. I'm like, and we need those people. Like they are
I say that all the
very
time.
valuable.
Absolutely.
It's just not a path for everyone, and it needs to be okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We were talking earlier about how in this kind of spiritual life and with what we do, it can be really uncomfortable for people around us because they don't necessarily have the perspective or the mindset that we do. And when you're not working 9 to 5, when you don't have when you're pregnant and have another child at home and you don't really know what's next.
Yeah, you're trusting.
It's
all gonna work out,
and everyone thinks you're fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah. I know. It's a time to like work on your ego. Right?
100%.
I have always been someone who really cares what my people think of me and just people in general.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they still love me for who I am. It doesn't matter what I'm doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
You could have had the worst haircut in the world and they all loved you.
Well, I had quite a few.
Girl, same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you did touch on the human design, but which modalities and practices have resonated the most with you that you've tried?
Definitely human design has kind of shaped, has given me the permission to be who I am.
And when you say that, because you, to me, from the person who met you in 2020, you never felt like somebody who didn't know exactly who you are.
Yes. I would say I've always been me. Like looking back, I'm like, I've always been me, but I also projectors thrive off of recognition. So wherever I'm recognized for, and I've always been recognized for a very hard worker.
Yeah.
Like I was always someone with 3 or 4 jobs.
Same.
I worked like all hours of the day.
Yeah.
I worked to party, but
Yeah.
same thing.
Fair enough.
So it was a really big thing to be like, it's okay to take a step back and not be recognized in that sense. And then you get rocked, right? Like you can hit rock bottom when you're switching. Your whole life is getting flipped upside down.
I agree.
And I learned, so I did a 12-week mentorship, and I did somatic practices, and it was incredible, and learned breathwork through that. And then I actually did a 8-month-long breathwork course, and that has been a huge thing for my life as well.
Yeah.
Like I would say, so between human design kind of pushing me in the direction of where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then using breath work and other healing modalities.
And what, why were you so drawn to breath work? Like, what did it kind of resonate within you?
So I was someone who just always had anxiety. Like, I don't know when it began, but it was just always there.
Right.
And then I would also go through bouts of depression. But the breath work and being in just a spiritual world and being with people who are very aligned with you, during that program, realizing that I don't need to be anxious for my entire life.
Yeah.
This is not who I am. This is just a feeling that I'm experiencing right now.
That is so poignant.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah. And I think it just honestly gave me permission to let it go. Be this, just because this is who you have been.
Yes.
Is not who you are.
Yes.
And so breath work gave me the techniques, I guess, to rid myself of it.
That's
It's
incredible.
a bottoms up approach to it. I never therapy and things, obviously fantastic.
Yeah.
But for me, I just left every single time so much more anxious.
Fair enough.
I was this cannot be it.
Well, and I think as an intuitive person, it's interesting because for example, my therapy, sometimes I can feel things that they're not saying.
Absolutely.
And so you're such an intuitive person. So leaving, you would probably feel did I perform well? Did I say the right things? Did we work enough on the things that need to be worked on?
And I also have done so much work that I'm I know the coping mechanisms.
Right.
I know all of this, but I want it out of my body.
Yeah. I want to release it.
I want to release it. And so breath work, I was actually I can release it. So now when I still will get anxious.
Yeah.
But I can take a moment and I can realize that it's just a feeling, and I can do my breath work or do somatic practices and move it out of my body.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, and especially as a little prego, you don't want to be carrying shit around. You got to make room for that new life.
So that's also probably another part of it. Having Hutch changed my life. I've never felt more grounded. During that pregnancy, my anxiety honestly disappeared. I was this is just what I'm meant to.
You knew,
Yeah.
you knew this was exactly what you were meant to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, since then, it's just been life-changing.
That's
which is
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
What have been your biggest aha moments throughout your journey?
I think just that, I am not here to do life the same way as other people.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a hard lesson.
It's a tricky lesson, right? It's so easy to just follow the path.
Yeah.
I'm everyone should make their own path.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not be beheld or beholden to anybody else's idea of what they should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that one.
I love that. What is the hardest spiritual lesson you've learned?
I think I'm living it right now.
In which way?
In the sense of trust. I think trust is a very, very hard, for me at least.
Yeah.
And it's all about your ego, everything, right? I'm trusting that everything's going to be okay. And it would be so easy for me to just go back to my old ways of doing. Like that would be the easy path right now.
Yeah.
But I know that you kind of have to go through it. And sometimes the harder path is where you're going to find the most success.
1000%.
Yeah. So I'm in a season of not doing, but I'm also raising my child.
Yeah.
And that's my season. But I think it's like, I don't even really know how to put it into words, but I'm trying to learn that that's enough.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so when people ask me, they're like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, nothing. No, I'm being a mother, and I'm still trying. Like, I'm doing a retreat coming up. Like, I'm hosting wellness events. I am still doing things, but I don't have a job right now. But I'm like, my job, and it's completely me.
You don't have a job that makes sense to other people.
Yes.
You have a job.
And that's why it's
Yeah.
tricky, right? Like it is a completely, I'm having to go internally and be okay with that.
Yeah.
And be okay with how other people are perceiving it. And it's tricky. But I'm like, this is more than enough. And this is, whenever I think, like if I'm in a meditation, I was doing one before I came in, and it was what's important to you right now. And for me, it's my family, and it's my time with my family.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to get that time back.
No.
So.
Well, and bless, like you actually recognize it at the time when you're going through it, instead of having the perspective 5 years down the line going, fuck, I wish I could have done this, X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do it. Like it's not an easy thing, not bringing in a large income, not.
Well, and people would assume that by, like, I say this in quotes, not doing anything, that it would be easier, not harder, because you're battling a mental mountain every day.
Absolutely.
And your body is used to a certain amount of output.
Yeah.
And mental.
How we've always, like how I've always valued myself. Like I have always been someone who's been able to take care of myself in every way.
Yeah.
Maybe not emotionally.
I think you've done pretty well.
But like I have always worked. I have always, like if I wanted to get something, you just work a little bit harder.
Totally.
Whereas right now I'm leaning in that like less is more.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the energy to do it all and be the mother that I want to be.
You're being intentional with your energy. Well, and just like earlier when you mentioned that like validation and people acknowledging you is a big part of your motivation, and to go into having nobody kind of acknowledging or validating, and then
learning to recognize yourself.
Totally. And how to meaningfully acknowledge yourself, and how to meaningfully put that, recognition on yourself. And how are you finding ways to do that? Are you?
Yeah, I think it's just like seeing Hutch is a huge one, right? Like I can find recognition in that. Like he is my little rock star.
But do you give yourself the validation for being a mom? And
I think so often I'm like, oh, he's just so easy. Oh, he's just like so smart, right? And I'm like, no, it's the work that I'm doing and the love that I'm providing.
Yeah.
Is what makes him who he is.
Environment.
So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I always, me, I'm always like, I hear you talk about Hutch, but I want to know about how you're doing for yourself and what you're doing for yourself.
Oh, well, we're doing things.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
And you kind of touched on this a little before, but how has your life changed since you started your spiritual journey?
Like it has and it hasn't. Like I think it's just, again, going with that, like it doesn't necessarily have to change. Like it's who I am.
But from when you were like working for somebody else, like, would you say that you've changed, like from the beginning of your spiritual journey to now, like how?
I would say I'm a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
mentally.
Yeah, exactly. Mentally. That I don't need that outside voices as much anymore. Like, still, that's obviously for me going to be a battle that I always am facing. But
that's also, Aquarius moon.
Okay.
Because Aquarius is a collective. So you source and you take on a lot of what collective people are thinking and feeling.
Big time.
So that makes sense.
Okay.
Why that is something that...
I don't really know much about my, like, rising and moon.
So your sun is your identity. Your moon is your body and your emotions. And your rising is, like, what you're striving for in your everyday life.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
You're so cute.
That's the Gemini is my...
That's where, and Gemini is somebody who comes in and picks and chooses and is of two minds.
Absolutely.
And is always, doing things that interest them.
Yes.
And so that's where you're going to feel validated on your day to day.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates.
Oh, love that for us. Yeah. Love that for us. What do you wish that you knew when you started?
I think that it doesn't matter what other people think.
Totally.
Right? Like, it's not woohoo. It's fine. And even if it is woohoo, who cares?
Seriously.
Right? You're going to find people. You're going to find your people.
Yes. Oh, I love that for people who are feeling lonely. Because a lot of the time, spiritual journeys do kind of stem from a need or a want to understand oneself a little bit better.
I would absolutely agree with that.
And then to come into a space and know that you are going to find your people, that you will, like, attract the right people and the right experiences for you. Yeah. Sorry, my, like, one hair has, like, tickled the shit out of this one spot on my nose. And I can't stop. It's itchy.
Yeah.
Are there any specific moments of profound synchronicities that blew your mind?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Tell me.
So probably the starting of the, like, my actual spiritual journey. My sister bought me The Universe Has Your Back, Gabby Bernstein book. And I tried reading it and was like, nah, not for me. And put it away. So I think I got to, like, chapter 4. I was like, we're done with this. I had moved twice since then, kept the book, kept the bookmark. And then I got the Universe Has Your Back, the deck.
Right.
And I pulled a card one day, and I need to remember what it was. Anyways, I pulled it, and it resonated so much. And then that same day, I stumbled upon the book. And I was like, okay.
I'm ready.
We're ready. And I got in the bathtub and I started reading, and I opened up, and the card that I had pulled was the chapter that I had left off on.
Oh my God.
And I was like, if this ain't it, like,
seriously, if that ain't a whole thing.
It. So I think that kind of just, it was like, oh, there is more.
Yeah.
Like, this is not my, like, I didn't just find all of these things. I didn't just pull this card. Like, this is all happening for a reason.
Yeah.
So then that kind of just trickled it all.
As it does.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Naked in the bathtub. Spirit finds you.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that, like, I know mediums always get asked is, like, can my loved ones see me when I'm naked in the tub? And they're like, yes. And they're like, and they don't care. It's still.
I do think about it, because that's when I, like, in the shower and stuff is when I talk to spirit, to past ones the most.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey.
Hey, it's just me, Nudie.
Yeah. What's going on?
Nicole.
Yeah.
No, it's so funny because, like, everybody I love is dead for the most part.
Aww.
And so, like, I'm always like, guys, give me a little privacy, please.
Right?
When do you feel most connected to your spirituality?
Oh, when I'm alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, my week of integration during my breathwork course. So there was a, like, 1 week intensive. It was like a 9 to 5. And I was, like, seeing things and connecting to, like, I have never felt more connected in my entire life. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you get back into your regular life and you're like, it's gone. So this is why I got back into meditating the other day, or a couple weeks ago. I was trying to envision my, like, golden light from my heart center, and I couldn't see it. I was like, I can't even project a golden light coming out of me right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, so we need some alone time and we need some meditation.
I think that is just like great advice for anybody who's trying to connect with themselves and like their own spirituality, that you need come back to self, start from scratch. Don't put any pressure on yourself and just slowly rebuild again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and again, like, I cannot stress this enough. There is no one way of doing anything,
And it can always
especially
change
spirituality.
too.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
grow,
we're always
adapt.
growing. So
Yeah.
my practices grow with me.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you navigate difficult situations and problems? I cry.
I cry. I've gotten a lot better. I don't cry as much anymore. Today I was feeling very emotional, like I was gonna cry. But something that I know that I need to work on, because I ignore and I like retreat.
You isolate.
I isolate, and it's not healthy.
Is one of your love languages quality time?
Oh yeah.
And you know, one of the greatest things I ever learned was with love languages, you need to know how to practice it on yourself. And for somebody who needs quality time, what we do is we isolate. Instead of actually spending quality time with ourselves or with somebody we love, we isolate and like stop ourselves from enjoying and receiving that love. So it's interesting that you say that.
And it is funny. So like my love language with quality time, a lot of it is the quality time with myself.
Yeah.
Like that is what gives me life again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Cancer in your chart?
I don't know.
I want to look at your chart.
Yeah.
Just because like so many things resonate so deeply. I'm a Cancer sun, Leo moon, Taurus
But
rising.
I also wonder if it's part of our profile, like our 2-4 profile with human design, that like hermit, right, is a big,
and even
like
Chiron.
that's our recharge. And oh yeah.
This is why I love spirituality. This is why I love all the modalities. It's like the more information you have, the more you can like resonate with other people, connect with other people through things. You can see maybe why. You may not always know why, but you can see some of the reasons why people act or receive things in the way that they do.
Absolutely.
I love it so much. So just spending time alone kind of helps you to navigate the difficult situations.
But intentionally.
Yeah.
Like not wasting it scrolling on my phone.
And so what would that maybe look like?
Reading, meditating,
Yeah.
time outside, right? Like anything I can do to just kind of connect, ground.
Yeah. Grounding, obviously,
Yeah.
is such a helpful thing. When did you know you were called to pursue your spiritual career and develop your personal practices?
I think through learning through myself. So probably the past couple years, like I've done all these different courses. I've learned all these different systems. And then I think it was probably honestly just maybe like 2 or so years ago, and just even like it's still happening. Like I think I'm just at the beginning.
Yeah.
But like I'm like all of these things I'm learning, all these things, all these techniques, everything I'm doing for myself right now, I'm doing for the greater good.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say I'm there yet in my career, but when are we?
But something obviously called you to pursue breath work and to pursue
Yes.
spirituality and human design.
Yeah.
And to put up offerings, because you are doing a retreat. You are putting together.
Yeah. And I just love sharing it with people.
So you're connecting.
Yeah.
Aquarius and Gemini, no shit.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, over the past couple of years, I'm like, I'm just collecting all of these things
Yeah.
to share with other people.
I love that. What do you consider your spiritual gifts?
Probably empathy is a big one for me. Like I really, like I wouldn't say that I really like judge people. Like I'm like, I can see the why behind things. Which is for me is like very special.
Yeah.
My like intuitive, like,
Yeah, your intuitive gift.
yeah.
I love that. Is like part of it is empathy. And what advice do you have for someone who is just starting out on their spiritual journey?
Ooh. get readings.
By me.
Absolutely.
Just joking.
But by anything that you're called interested in, right? Like you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to learn on your own, and you're going to find your people by connecting with others.
Yeah.
And just giving yourself grace. Like you don't need to learn everything all at once. Spirituality is such a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
That you're going to forever, hopefully, pursue.
Totally.
So, yeah.
I love that. Pistachio calcite. What advice do you have for someone who doesn't even know where to start?
Oh, I guess it depends on how, like for me, it was picking up a book. Like I love reading. So for that, it was like, just take the time and learn.
Can I die? But as a Gemini rising, of course you would pick up a fucking book. Like that is so accurate.
Yeah. But just don't be ashamed of it. Like don't hide.
I love that.
Don't hide from it.
Yeah. That's
like,
a great
dig in and a
great slice of advice.
Obviously, yeah. If you're interested in it, there's a reason for it. And so follow that.
Follow that pursuing like feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. And what resources do you recommend?
Ooh, so many.
That's the gift.
So many. Yeah. For me, okay, so that first book, like if you're brand new to spirituality, like that The Universe Has Your Back was such a great read for me, but I think it's a very timely read.
Yep.
Like you have to be ready for it, ready to receive, ready to go in. Meditations, Insight Timer.
Oh,
right?
live, laugh, love, fucking Insight Timer.
Just take 5 minutes and meditate.
Can I set an intention? This is my goal, is to have Insight Timer be one of our sponsors.
Okay.
Eventually.
There it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm going to be on it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get that Insight Timer money, girl.
Breathwork on Insight Timer. There's my intention.
Actually, I should start asking people to set intentions on this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There it is.
And any other resources that you could recommend?
I mean, it depends on what you're interested in. Like if you kind of were wondering what human design is, get a reading for that. Get some tarot, get some Reiki. So good.
Plug.
So good. Just take time for yourself.
I love it.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that you'd like to kind of either promote or tell people that you're working on or where they can find you?
I mean, I guess it depends on when this is going to be released.
Just go for it.
Just go for it.
Well,
actually, so I just, with Mackenzie, built a 30-day wellness journal. So you're going to be able to find that on Amazon.
Ooh.
And if this podcast...
Do you know what it's going to be called?
Yes, it's called Find Your Zen, a 30-day guide to wellness, I believe.
Love it.
Yeah. If this finds you before April, we're doing a 30-day alignment challenge. It's just going to be habits, trying to better yourself, I guess, over that 30 days. I've got a retreat coming up in April that I'm so excited for. It's just north of Kingston at Bloom Holistic Retreats, and that is through Gold Wellness Club.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I so appreciate it.
So fun.
Yay.
Yay.